Nigeria is heading for cataclysm. And if we all choose to keep quiet and move on as usual, the end will affect each and all of us. There is no escape. It's either we act head on now, or we choose to fold our hands and watch the time bomb explode. Whatever democracy stood for is being trampled upon, because democracy is hinged upon the rule of law, the constitution. Unfortunately, the constitution of Nigeria is being trampled, is being marred on a daily basis, and nobody is doing anything about it. Yesterday, we discussed the election, and today we are continuing on the electoral process of 2023 onwards. What we saw in the election, it's appalling as a nation. Welcome to the Diary of a Broken Man, where we dissect political, economic, and social issues concerning our country, Nigeria. Remember to subscribe, to like, to share, and to comment. Nigeria's electoral integrity and the political dynamics are deeply shaped by a conglomeration of historical, ethnic, and socioeconomic factors that often undermine the democratic process. Voter suppression tactics such as ethnic intimidation and vote buying remain persistent challenges, particularly in states like Sokoto, like Rivers State, like Lagos State, where we saw voter suppression in real action. These practices distort the will of the electorate and erode trust in the system. Ethnic intimidation often involves leveraging communal tension to suppress voter turnout in specific areas. In Rivers State, for instance, political actors have known to exploit ethnic rivalries, such as between the Ijaw and the Ikwerre group, to discourage participation through threats and violence. Now we have seen what will I call it, a political somersault in Rivers State. In 2025, we are having a state of emergency in a democratic society. State of emergency where there is no war. State of emergency where there is, for Christ's sake, there are many things that happen, and I wonder where our own constitution functions from. State of emergency in 2025. Democratic government. And all the political actors that led to this now will be rejoicing. All those who forced this situation to arise, because we are sitting on a time bomb as a nation. All those who are enjoying this because of their vested interest, not even for the good of the people of River State. All they are doing is for their personal aggrandizement, just their own wealth, their own money, their own rich, their own this, their own connection, their own, that is all, not for anything good. How did we get here as a nation? How did we arrive to this level of low as a nation? How did we get here? How have we fallen so low that 65 years after independence, we are not talking about how to go to the moon, we are not talking about how to do scientific research, we are not talking about how to produce electric cars, we are not talking about, each nation is talking about new innovation and new things to produce as a nation, and the news around Nigeria is always sad, negative, depressing. The only thing you hear in Nigeria every day is the latest depression you will have. Like I said yesterday, somebody said he doesn't even want to listen to Nigerian news again, that once he listens to it, he gets BP. I feel sad. I feel sad because we don't have any other nation. Even if we run to the ends of the earth and hide there, we still have a nation. That is our Nigeria. And we need to fight for it and protect it. For our children and our children's children. Just like other nations that we are running to are protecting theirs. How have we fallen here to this level of disarray? Similarly, in Sokoto, a predominantly Hausa-Fulani region, reports of coercion tied to ethnic loyalty have surfaced during election, with local power brokers intimidating opposition supporters to secure dominance for aligned candidates. Vote buying complements this with cash or goods, sometimes little as few thousand naira or a bag of rice distributed to sway voters. In both states, for instance, Rivers State and Sokoto, we are using as case study now, this transactional approach thrives in economically vulnerable communities where immediate needs outweigh long-term democratic ideals. Civil society organizations, notably Yaga Africa, have stepped up to counter these tactics. Yaga strategies include deploying observers to monitor the polling units, as seen in the 2024 Edo and Ondo elections, where they reported widespread vote buying and intimidation. Their real-time data collection and public reporting aim to expose irregularities and pressure authorities to act. Beyond observation, Yaga advocates for legal reforms, like granting voting rights to prisoners and election day workers, and pushes for stronger enforcement against electoral offenders. Their work also involves educating voters to resist inducement, though entrenched poverty and political cynicism often limit the impact. Now, I think this present APC government leverages on the poverty of Nigerians, together with PDP, who have been in power since. Because these two parties seem to capitalize on the poverty of Nigeria, but the worst is this APC, because they have lowered the life standard of Nigeria that nobody can now afford anything, and some people are now so hungry that anything you give to them, they accept to do whatever you have just to find something to eat. Don't be surprised in 2027 they will campaign with poverty. These political parties, they will campaign with poverty, because I think in Africa, poverty is weaponized so much so that the aggrandizement of the rich people are satisfied not by building roads, not by establishing research centers, by creating jobs, by bringing electricity, but by amount of years they spend in power doing nothing. The amount of years they spend in power busy doing nothing. Each person comes and wastes 8 years, brings his own kingsman to jump into the power and waste another 8 years. And the cycle continues. When are we going to get tired of these clowns that oversee our governments? When are we going to get tired of people like that and reject their ways? When are we going to say no to 2,000, 3,000 naira to packets of Indomie and spaghetti? When are we going to stop that rubbish and go for electoral reforms that will make it mandatory that nobody on any account would swear anybody with anything? Let people vote their consciences. But like I said, this can only happen when poverty is weaponized. That is where it's applicable. Because if people can afford rice, why go to collect rice? Why would they collect rice from you? The media plays a dual role here. Outlets like Premium Times, like Arise TV, the channel televisions, have aired news footage capturing vote trading, voters openly marketing ballots for cash in places like Ondo, or party agents distributing money in Edo. This coverage amplifies awareness and occasionally prompts investigation, but it can also normalize the practice when accountability lacks. Meanwhile, misinformation on platforms like X, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok further complicates the landscape, with political actors spreading narratives to confuse or demotivate voters. But despite all these efforts, the system's weaknesses or weak institutions, partisan electoral officials, and a culture of impunity keep suppression practice effective. Now, how do you explain to somebody that is wise that people threatened people with ethnic bigotry in an election openly? I mean, not in the hiding, openly. And the whole police in Nigeria, the heads of police said it was a joke. But a simple comment on Twitter and Facebook can get you arrested. How have we gotten this low as a nation? How? How did we end here? Civil society and media can shine a light, but without robust political will, Nigeria's electoral integrity remains a work in progress. Now, no matter how you talk about the issues in Nigeria, if there is no political will to stop it, it will not stop. Because if the government of Nigeria means what they are doing, if they really mean the action, then some people should have been punished, starting from the INEC chairman who marred our election, should have been punished. Those people who made open laws against others in the lines of ethnicity and religion should have been arrested too and punished to serve as deterrence. This is what democracy should be. Not this shutting up dissenting voices and people shouting for justice. These are literally the people the government should be after. Those who cause disorder through the lines of democracy, of ethnic and religious bigotry, should be picked up and arrested. But unfortunately, there is no political will. We are heading for ruins if we don't take care as a nation. Because every indices that supports a failed society points towards Nigeria. Every indices points towards Nigeria. It's almost a calculated failure, and we are watching it play out. Now, for a state, an elected governor and the vice governor is suspended on what? How? In a democratic government, how? How? Maybe the Chief Justice of the nation should explain to Nigerians. The National Assembly should explain to Nigerians. Because we have a constitution. This remains the diary of a broken man. Remember to subscribe, to like, to share, and to comment. And I will see you on the next one. Cheers.